It was supposed to be a normal Friday night at a quiet yogurt shop in Austin, Texas. But by morning, it would become the scene of a crime so brutal, it would leave the community in shock for decades. For young women, just hours from closing up shop, were found dead in a horrifyingly violent display. Who could have done this? And why was the truth so hard to uncover? The hunt for answers would span years, and the mystery of that night still isn't solved. The night of December 6, 1991, began like any other. I can't believe it's yogurt on Anderson Lane in Austin, Texas, was bustling with the energy of four young women, all with their own dreams and futures, unaware that by morning, their lives would be cut short. Amy Ayers, only 15, had just finished her last final exam and was looking forward to Christmas break. She was a bubbly, outgoing teenager with a laugh that lit up a room. Her parents called her their sunshine, always trying to brighten everyone's day. Sarah Harbison, 15, was Amy's best friend. Sarah had an old soul and a heart full of empathy. She spent her weekends shopping with friends and reading her favorite books. She dreamed of making a difference, but she never had the chance to. Jennifer Harbison, Sarah's 17-year-old sister, had big plans for her future. She wanted to become a lawyer. Jennifer was driven, smart, and always looked out for her younger sister. The two were inseparable, their bond unbreakable. Eliza Thomas, 19, was a college student balancing school and her part-time job at the yogurt shop. She was responsible and independent, with a quiet strength that made her admired by everyone who knew her. They weren't just victims. They were daughters, sisters, friends. Each of them had a bright future ahead, but all of that was stolen in the blink of an eye. The night began as a typical Friday evening shift, with little to suggest anything out of the ordinary. The shop, known for its sweet treats, was busy at first, but soon began to quiet down. By 10:30 p.m., the girls were finishing up, preparing to lock the doors and go home. At some point after closing, the unimaginable happened. Around 10:45 p.m., an anonymous 911 call alerted authorities to a fire at the shop. When firefighters arrived the next morning, they found the scene, not just a fire, but a horror show. Inside, the bodies of Amy, Sarah, Jennifer, and Eliza were discovered. They had been bound, gagged, and shot execution style. It wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. It was something far more sinister. The killer or killers had planned every detail, and they set the store ablaze to cover their tracks. But who could be behind such an unimaginable act of violence? And why were the girls targeted? What twisted mind could have carried out such a brutal act in the dead of night? The case began with urgency. Authorities believed that the killer couldn't have gone far. The community was shaken, and the pressure to find the killer mounted. The police quickly combed the area, interviewing witnesses and analyzing the crime scene. They discovered a set of fingerprints on a yogurt container and DNA samples at the scene, leading them to a promising start. But with no solid suspects and limited leads, the investigation ground to a halt. Over the weeks that followed, media outlets picked up the story, and the case was plastered across every local news station. But still, no answers. Witnesses came forward, claiming they had seen a man leaving the scene around the time of the murders. Descriptions varied, but none were clear enough to pinpoint a suspect. A local sketch artist worked tirelessly, but the mystery remained. Family members of the victims held their breath, hoping for answers. But the truth was slipping further and further away. As the investigation dragged on, the theories began to pile up. Some believed it was a botched robbery. After all, the store had a small cash register. But there was a major flaw in this theory. Nothing was stolen. The killer set the store on fire, yet left the money untouched. Why would someone go to such extreme lengths for no financial gain? Others speculated that more than one person was involved. The brutality of the crime, the different weapons used, and the conflicting witness statements all pointed to the possibility that this wasn't the work of a single individual. Could there have been more than one killer? Was the truth hidden in the shadows? Then there are those who thought, could the girls have been mistaken for someone else? Maybe they weren't even the intended victims. The theory holds weight because of how specific the execution seemed, like the killer knew exactly who they were looking for. But if they weren't the target, then who was? And then there was Robert Springsteen. His DNA was linked to the crime scene years after the murders, leading authorities to arrest him. But Springsteen's confession was a mystery in itself. He claimed to have been coerced into admitting to the crime, and his confession was later ruled unreliable. Was Springsteen guilty, or was he the wrong man? Each theory adds more questions to the pile. Who could be responsible? What really happened that night? Despite numerous investigations, forensic breakthroughs, and court hearings, so many questions remain unanswered. The fingerprints found on a yogurt container, yet the person they belong to has never been definitively identified. Could the killer have been so careful that they left behind no other evidence? Springsteen's DNA matched, but was he really the killer, or was there someone else whose DNA was missed? Then there's the fire. Why set the shop on fire? What did the killer think they were going to destroy? Was the fire an afterthought, or was it a key part of the plan? What if the killer was someone who had been hiding in plain sight all along? What if the answers are out there, but they've been overlooked? The case still haunts Austin, Texas. The murder of 4 young women, each with a bright future ahead, remains unsolved, despite efforts that have spanned decades. Robert Springsteen's conviction was overturned in 2010 after new evidence came to light, but the case is far from settled. The families of the victims continue to search for the truth. They remain hopeful that someone, somewhere, will come forward with new information that will finally bring the killer to justice. But the emotional toll of the case has left scars that may never fully heal. Austin will never forget that night. The faces of the 4 young women, full of life and dreams, will always be remembered. But will they ever find peace? Will anyone ever truly know who did this, and why? Thank you for joining us on this episode of Cold Case Chronicles. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to the channel, comment, and let's brainstorm what could have happened. And also leave a like. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, and join us as we shine a light on the shadows of unsolved crime.